Hey guys, welcome back to the GE10T1 restoration project. When I left off, we had done an initial checkout and I was going to do some research. I did track down the Sam's Photo Effect folder that goes with this set. I just need to track down an actual hard copy. I can get it from the Radio Museum online site. I just have to do it page at a time because they won't let you download the whole thing, or I can buy a copy, or I can borrow a copy. I might even have a copy if I go digging through my undocumented, unindexed Sam's Photo Effects. Meanwhile, let's dig into this thing. I decided I'm going to remove the CRT because it makes it so much easier to move this around, and it's actually a fairly lightweight chassis. It's just the CRT is adding a bunch of weight. Also found some great photos of radiolaguy.com. We stored one of these, and you have some beautiful high-res color photos of this set underneath and on top, which will be a very handy reference for me. And on his, he does not have this extra strap. So I'm inclined to not put it back on, much because there's no cushioning. So the top one has this cushions that rest against the CRT. That's the way it should be. This is just a metal strap. Yeah. It's not like this thing needs to be, it's not going anywhere. One strap should be sufficient. So belts and suspenders, I guess you could say. Didn't let that go flying. Alright, so to take this out, I'm going to do a few things. One, obviously to loosen those straps. Two, we got to undo some of this stuff, particularly this ion trap magnet. Dual pole, this is a 10 BP4. There are variations of this set. These are 10 FP4. I think GE was the earliest to use those. I have a 1947 GE that has one. That is the aluminized version of this picture tube. That is a dream to have. It means you don't need this ion trap. It's just always set up perfectly. You cannot get ion burn. It's always the brightest image, and the aluminized layer not only protects from iron burn, but makes the image a little bit brighter. But regardless, it's not what he has. Yeah, so these little thumb screws you loosen up. What often happens over time is they kind of crustify and they will come off. You don't want to just rip the base off. Thank goodness this base is on there securely off on there. You get a little bit loose. We have to carefully pry these things apart. Oh man. This is metal with rubber sleeves over them for cushioning. It's gotten a bit hard over time. There we go. Anyways. Come on. Blue, black towards the base. Should be able to just slide this through the rest of it. This seems pretty loose. You don't want, this is a focus magnet. There's not a lot of clearance, but there's enough. We should be able to just slide this through. Let's get back to the front. I'm so paranoid about trashing the speaker. Oh yeah, that's the other fun part about this. Well, theoretically, we could pull the CRT out right now, except for this. That's not gonna happen. And do not think about, I'll just lift this up a couple inches, angle it up, and pull it out. No, you snap the neck off because of that stuff on the back that doesn't have a whole lot of give to it. So what can you do? Well, you could loosen up that stuff on the back or remove it. This the yoke, the focus magnet. They're wired in, they're attached to this box. That's not much fun. So can you take this front off? Yeah. Bunch of screws on the sides. Alright, let's give this a try. Much better. What do you think? I think this will work. If not, I may have to loosen up the stuff on the neck. Maybe that was securing something on the other side. We'll find out. Definitely moves. We'll look at the service info. I noted something. Actually, I didn't know. Well, I was looking at the Radiola guy's site. He mentioned something that was being good for performance. I heard that before. And he explained why. It's because it has 2 RF stages. I don't think I've ever seen that in a set before. It's 2 6AG5s or something like that. Not that it matters for us, because we're just going to feed a signal into it. But for the time, that was a big deal. Okay, what did that do for us? Oh yeah, jeez. That thing's about ready to fall out. So, it's loose. This over the edge of the workbench. There we go. No, we can clean and recoat this. I don't think. Yeah, it's probably a rebuild. There's a seam right there. Did a good job though. It's hard to tell there's a seam. Right in there. Just a barely ripple. And that is why you remove the CRT when you work on these. You can get rid of this stuff. There are caps, there are tubes hiding underneath the picture tube. Also, this little dinky short anode lead. It's actually kind of annoying. If you use a little bench test CRT, little 5-inch guy, this isn't long enough to connect to it. But I don't want to keep removing and reinstalling that full size as I work on this set. So I may replace this with something with a couple more inches of lead length on it. Let's remove these completely and get these out of the way. I'll reattach this front. So one of the things I was struggling with on this front is, now that we can see it, is of course we have all the controls up here. There's wiring harnesses going to them. They don't have a whole lot of extra length on them. That's why I couldn't pull this forward as much as I wanted to. More evidence of humidity. CRT mounts, yeah, we'll replace these. Just some self-adhesive bits of rubber. How's that for a transformation? With all that stuff out of the way, I was able to get in there and clean, mostly with some CLR, some elbow grease, and Q-tips. I'm really surprised at how well it cleaned up. They must have used really good plating on this chassis because there's no corrosion. Some corrosion here and there, like on this clip that holds in a tube shield, and on the bodies of some of the controls here and there, but the vast majority of it is spotless, which is great. I'm a little concerned about some of the tube socket connections. Looked a little dubious in there. I'll try to shoot some deoxit down in there, pull the tubes in and out a couple times to try to clean those out. Alright, what else have I done? I removed both the multi-suction electrolytics. This one in particular was a little bit annoying because the printing, it just shows the working voltage but not the microfarads. It wore off. I can get it off the service info, but it's nice to have a confirmation on the cap itself. The one in the back has been replaced with an Adaptacap. Some of these caps are placeholders, this one in particular, because I don't have the right value on hand, but I want to put something in place so I wouldn't forget where the connections go. Now this and some of them down below, these are the caps I want to use. And they're very close to fitting into the original mounting clips, but they are a little bit smaller in diameter. So what I plan on doing is building up the diameter a little bit with something to hold them in there more securely, and I'll cut these leads shorter. I think the lead length, the lead diameter is thick enough that these are sturdy enough that I can get by with connecting the wires right to the cap like so. What else? Oh, this little board. That was a little bit of a hassle to get at. Ended up having to remove 3 wires on this side and removed a couple sheet metal screws to bend and twist it up. So what is it? I think it's a production change. I had to do a little research to look at the earliest revisions of this chassis to see if they had that. Because what's on here, these power resistors are, they're a current divider, a voltage divider network going to a rotary switch that controls the coarse focus current through this electromagnetic focus coil up here. I think there's a variable control somewhere too. So you rotate this little switch on the back to get in the ballpark of focus, and then you fine tune with a rotary control. I think that's how it works. Now, there's also a cap on this side and a cap on the other side and a couple small resistors. Those form a vertical retrace suppression pulse. It taps into the vertical output transformer. It's a little pulse shaping filter. So I'm imagining the early revisions of the set didn't have retrace blanking, and they had a different focus circuit, because this is just tacked onto the top of the chassis and they ran some wires up to it. At any rate, it's done. Other multi-section cap down here, which is the single most difficult thing to get at to replace, I think, in this set. I got it out. I need to build up a replacement cap and then wire it back in. Got all the old nasty moldy caps out from down here and have mounted in new ones. Again, these silver ones are the ones I'm going to use, and these smaller black ones are just temporary replacements until I get the caps that I want to use, which I'm waiting to arrive in the post. I have done a bit of recapping, but you can't see it because there are parts on both sides of these boards. I've recapped it on the underside. Here we go. So I've recapped this side of this board mostly. I think there's 1 or 2 left I need to do, and a few down here. So yeah, you have parts mounted to the chassis on both sides, and you have parts on this side of the board and this side of the board, and down in here on both sides of this board. I have maybe a dozen paper caps left to go, and here's the hole where that multi-section electrolytic was wired in. Hey, a box just arrived, which I think is the capacitors that I need to finish recapping this set. So let's pop this box open and see what's in there. Just looking around for a blade or a knife to cut it open. So that's what happens. You clean off your workbench and then you can't find anything. I'll try to use these side nippers to cut the tape. There we go. These in particular are the ones I needed. So yeah, these are the 68 at 450s. So we'll use a couple of these guys down here to replace those dinky ones I just put in for placeholders. And one of these goes topside. So that will take care of the remaining axial caps. And then I also picked up some, just to replenish my stockpile of film caps. So I should have everything I need now to finish this set off.